Northern Ontario. We planted a seed, had a yearning need we couldn't get from the stereo. Started out as two and it slowly grew into a passionate fraternity. No matter where I roam, it's always home from here to eternity. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's my community. Community, it's my community. So I said, hey Joe, come on, let's go. I hear adventure, it's a calling me. We're gonna lose control down a rabbit hole in the heart of the big city. We're gonna squash a beetle with a rolling stone and fly the black flag all the way back home. If you eat shit flowers, I ain't got time. Don't matter what we find, it's the glue that binds, you see. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's my community. Community, it's my community. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's our community. Community, 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 community. It's our community. 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 It's our community. 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 It's our community.
Hola desde Cuba a la comunidad de Aaron.
Hey, everybody. That was Community by T-Bone Erickson. And yes, I have a feeling we'll be playing that song quite a lot. It turned out to be a favorite for quite a few people. But this show tonight is not about Aaron, although I have something here for Aaron, because Aaron was one of the many, many backers for Tim Derling's brand new book, Unspooled, which we talked about back in the fall. We had Tim on back in the fall, and I'm happy to say that on his behalf, we sold a couple of books to some of the regular readers, such as Rob Daniels, who already has the magnet on his fridge. This is Tim's first book, and he is also with us tonight. I'm very happy about that. And I'm going to be opening this up and seeing what's all inside, because I ordered not just the book, but I went up a couple higher tiers to get some extra stuff. There's a second book in here for Aaron, and I will be sending that to him ASAP. Ooh, shit, didn't want my address. But first things first, and that's getting this open very, very carefully. We do not want any damage, obviously. We're going to take this nice and slow. But Tim tells me that there's really no other book out there about 8-track tapes the way that this book is formatted anyway, you know? And we will see what this is all about in one moment. There's some good stuff. I can see it already. Yeah, the address label is huge. You're correct. But that's okay. That's okay. It's just him showing me some love. Okay. So, we have this in a nice little tote bag. Get the bubble wrap off. Get the packing tape off. And we have this nice Tim's Vinyl Confessions tote bag with his Twitter handle and his YouTube. That's pretty cool. I am going to be buying records in this bag when stores reopen. Now let's see what we all have here. There's a number of things. First, ooh, look at that. The envelope. He's even got it on his envelope. It's almost a shame that the envelope is sealed, that I have to destroy this beautiful envelope to get at the bookmarks inside. But look at how carefully. Look at this. Look at this. 2 thick pieces of cardboard to make sure that I got this bookmark nice and safely by Go North Design, who designed the layout of the book too, I believe. What else? What else? We have the second bookmark. This is for Aaron. We will put that aside for him. He can decide whether he's opening that envelope or not. Then we have, oh my goodness, all this stuff. Look at that. Signed by the author. I should mention that this is the very first time I've ever done a Kickstarter. Oh, and also, very important, forward by Martin Popoff. Very important indeed. This is my very first Kickstarter. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. It's hard to know what to back. Obviously, I was going to trust Tim to put out a quality product. But, you know, you've got companies like, say, HasLab doing crowdfunding for their giant Unicron toy. And it's like, why does $1 billion company need to come to me for my money to manufacture a product? That doesn't make any sense. They have an R&D department that's dedicated to do that kind of thing. So I would prefer to do my crowdfunding and support an independent artist that actually, you know, could use the crowdfunding. There's more stuff. I don't want to wreck anything. Okay, we're just going to take everything out all at once. Oh, the aforementioned fridge magnet. And again, you know, custom paper. There it is. That is a nice fridge magnet. I am not going to put this on my fridge. I am going to put this on the side of my Techniques tape deck. That's where it belongs. It doesn't belong in the kitchen. It belongs here where I listen to music. So that is where I'm going to stick my magnet, on my tape deck. Then we have, oh, bummer. Something got kind of wrecked in here. Not sure exactly what this is here, but it got a little wrecky. Got a little wrecky. Let's take a look at the actual books. Hardcover and softcover. Softcover is for Aaron, and here comes the hardcover. Dive deep into the art of collecting music and memorabilia, the grime and gunk of crate digging. And those of us who love records and tapes, look at that. Mike, thanks for contributing to this book. It's been a lot of fun doing shows with you. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. See, I'm going to have this forever. And when I'm old and, well, getting there. But when I'm older and grayer, I will remember. Yeah, I had that guy on my show once. I did a thing on the YouTube. Really nice pictures. Really, really, really nice pictures. And here's the foreword from Martin. Oops. There we go. Forward from Martin. East Coast radio legend. That kind of blew me away a bit. And there he is. Right there, age 12. And this is a picture that he and I have chatted about. You'll see he's playing with his G1 Ultra Magnus transformer in the corner of that photo. So Tim and I have this in common. We collect things, and Transformers was one of the things that he collected. Look at the beautiful full color layout. Photos everywhere. I don't think there's a single... I think there's a photo on every spread here. Wow. Blew me away. Look at this. Just every page, there's something. And you will recognize that, the Columbia House catalog. And yes, they used to sell 8 tracks. And there's a lot about Columbia House selling 8 tracks well into the 80s. Late into the 80s. There's Tim on an 8 track, it appears. Playing with, it looks like an old Pac-Man. No, it's not. I don't know what that is. It looks like an old Pac-Man desktop. It is. Oh, it is. I always wanted one of those, but they got a bad reputation for being so crappy. Okay, so now we're into checklists, which is the kind of thing that guys like Tim and I love, but he's done his best to catalog anything on 8-track that he knew for certain existed. Lots of pictures of the author there. You know, the Def Leppard t-shirt there on the Pyromania page. By the end of the decade, Def Leppard was one of my favorite bands ever. They still are. We have that in common. 1988, 89, Def Leppard were absolutely my favorite band. Look at that. He's done his research. He has done his research. I can't wait to read this. The Analog Kid, Chapter 4. A red race car zooms. It's the red Barchetta, and none are faster. Suddenly, a gigantic hand grabs it, and the Barchetta flies off its track and through the air at impossible speeds. You can barely make out the fiery Hot Wheels logo painted on its sides. That's great. Little story there. There's contributions in here from a lot of different people. I know I'm in here too. Oh, your chapter kicks off the 1985 section. Well, let's skip ahead to 1985, shall we? I have to show that off. So he's got it organized here by year. That was 1984 there. We're yet to hit the peak of Transformers, incidentally. So here's 1985, and it looks like G.I. Joe's on a birthday cake. Cobra Commander, Duke, Zartan, and I'll get back to you on the 4th, but it could be Flint. Loverboy, loving every minute of it. Even though it was first introduced in 1982, it took a few years and a few price reductions for the compact disc to start a commercially viable music medium. Yep, that's true. Oh, wait, there we go. I saw my name somewhere. The LeBrain kept a rollin'. Mike's a voracious music consumer from a young age. The host of LeBrain Train on YouTube and at MikeLadano.com. Where am I? Oh, is this me? This is my section. Oh, it is. Okay. I didn't realize I'd have such a big layout here, but I'll read this. I'm sorry, Tim, if I'm spoiling the book here, but I have to do this. I wrote this so long ago. Tim asked me to contribute. God, a year and a half ago. I can't remember, but here we go. This is what I wrote. When I first started seriously collecting music at the age of 12, I owned it on 2 formats only, LP and cassette, the classic duo. Compact discs existed only in Japan. We hadn't even heard of them. 8 tracks were those weird chunky things that my parents had but never played. All that really existed in my suburb bubble were the vinyl record and the compact cassette. That's all I needed to be able to play. I was even younger when I discovered the 8-track tape. So young that I can't remember and was still sticking things into my mouth. I grabbed one from my parents' big wooden entertainment center and was curious what was inside. It was brown, just like chocolate, I exclaimed as I destroyed one of my mom's tapes. I remember that. I do remember yelling chocolate and pulling out the tape. They stopped me before I could destroy another or try to eat the chocolate I had found inside. While I remember that very clearly, the truth is I don't remember us listening to 8-track tapes very often. My dad's Lloyd's unit had 2 microphone inputs, and he made recordings of us as kids. All lost now, I'm afraid, along with my mom's copy of the Beatles' Rock and Roll Music, the only specific title that I can remember us owning. Around 1985, my parents realized that they weren't going to be listening to records or 8-track tapes anymore. Cassette was king. The living room needed to be renovated, and there was no more room for that giant Lloyd stereo system. The 8-track player didn't work anymore, but it was a single unit combined with a radio receiver and an amplifier, which still worked fine. I snapped them up. Only one other neighborhood kid was lucky enough to have a record player in his room. Everyone else in the street had to use their parents' system. The jerry-rigged setup didn't sound great, but I could play what I needed. I took my mom and dad's hand-me-downs and plugged them into my Panasonic deck. Good enough for a 13-year-old. I recall the sound was rather tinny, but it worked after a spell. If my mom wanted me to tape her old Roy Orbison LPs, I could do that. The Lloyd's receiver lasted 7 more years in that setup. It finally blew a circuit in early 92. A few weeks later, I replaced it with a small, affordable preamp. It didn't have a lot of power, but it enabled me to continue listening to records. The Lloyd's went out onto the curb. Thus ended the era of the 8-track in our household. My memories are only hazy. The disappointment of a song ending prematurely. The clackety-clack of the changing tracks. The impression that the format was already obsolete before I was able to walk. The many, many youthful years of using that old unit as an amplifier. A steady companion through high school. My best friend Bob was teaching me how to hide a deck of Playboy cards inside the shell of an 8-track tape. All good memories, I reckon. And that's also true. And I've talked about this stuff on the show, and I've written about a lot of that stuff on my site, a lot of stuff about hand-me-down tech. So, check out mikeladano.com for some more details on that primitive setup that I had. But I'm going to be really enjoying this book, and I'm blown away by how gorgeous it is, for one thing. I mean, I don't want to mess around with Aaron's here. I want that to be relatively untouched, but it's so colorful. It's so well designed. It is a beautiful book. Now, unfortunately, you can't get them anymore, I don't think, because this was a crowdfund, and it was basically made to order. So I ordered my 2 copies, one for me and one for Aaron, and that's I think you might have missed the boat if you didn't get this already. Back in the fall, we had Tim on the show, and that was your chance, your one and only chance. But I am thrilled that I got it. I am absolutely thrilled. This is going to be a treasured part of my library. I can't think of any other books in print where I am quoted so extensively. That's interesting. A Japan 8-track that sat on the shelf for years. And what was the cost? Chris, I don't remember because of the way I ordered it. I initially went in for the soft cover book. And then talking to Tim, I was getting more and more excited. So, I upped my purchase to a hardcover. And then Aaron wanted on board. So I upped my purchase to the package that came with 2 books. And it was just me adding small increases to what I'd already paid. So I do not remember what I paid for the 2 books and all the other goodies. But the point is that when you do a crowdfunder, you kind of feel like you're a part of it. And in a very real way, there I am in print. So I am a part of it. but it was a lot of fun to help Tim sell some books. I have to admit, having him on the show, we have so much in common, and I expect to find a lot more of that in this book. I mean, come on, we had all the same GI Joes. So I am sure that, okay, so there you go. Stay tuned. And, it's really easy to find them. It's right there in the tote bag. Just go right there. I am very happy to have gotten what I have. Look at the back there. Fly by Night on the back. Tim Derling is a lifelong music enthusiast, and Unspooled is his first book. A well-known copywriter and on-air voice in Atlantic Canada, he graduated from radio broadcasting in the early 90s. While listening to his favorite albums, Tim would absorb the liner notes, giving him an encyclopedic knowledge of music. His love for physical media and the 8-track led to 30-plus years of research into writing Unspooled. Tim is a frequent contributor on The Contrarians, yes he is, and Rush Fans YouTube channels. In his own social media sites, Tim's Vinyl Confessions. There you go. If that sounds familiar, it's because we all have that story of reading the liner notes and knowing the names of the members of the band and who played what instruments on what tracks, at least when the liner notes were being truthful. We all know Kiss were up to some shenanigans there. But, Tim went into radio. I got into a record store. But at the same time, all of this stuff, we have it in common. And I remember starting at the record store. And the boss gave me shit one day. He came in. He goes, what is this CD that you bought? Because we bought used CDs off the public. And it was a band called, I think they were called Pigface. And I said, it's a side project of, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, all these other bands. And he's like, how do you know all this stuff? And I said, well, I read the liner notes to the CDs. And I also read the Columbia House catalog cover to cover. And it would have tons of information in there monthly. I would read all the different sections. I didn't just stick to rock. I wanted to know what was going on in all the different genres of music. Well, you might have to wait a long time, Chris. I don't think that's coming anytime soon. I am so thrilled. I've said that a couple of times now. Look at that cake. It's a guitar cake. So, just spoiler alert. This book goes up to 1988. 8 tracks in 1988. And he's got picture sleeves. Oh, those are singles there, I think. Then he has some other stuff here. He's got a section here called Fantasy. Stuff that could exist, but why it probably doesn't. And he's got pictures of a couple albums there that you might recognize. This is going to be a really interesting read. Because like I said, he's done his research. He's really done his research. He knows what really exists because he has, if he says in here that it exists, it's because he's had definitive proof. He's seen the actual item or a photograph of the item, or he knows somebody who owns the item. So you can be assured that if he says it exists, then you can go and buy one. Well, maybe not that easily go and buy one, but you can start your search. And there's I just want to draw attention real quick. The inside of an 8-track, one spool. And that's why it was able to just go from one track to the other track to the other track, because it's just one spool. Interesting design. I certainly remember them, but like I said in the book there, I don't remember listening to them very often. Like I don't remember my mom ever putting on her Beatles 8-track. The only 8 tracks I can distinctly remember actually listening to were the ones that my dad recorded of us when we were kids. And that's it. It was all about the turntable. All of my stuff was on vinyl. like I said in my little portion there, it seemed that 8-track was already obsolete when I was learning about music as a very young guy. I was listening to John Williams and movie soundtracks, and I was all vinyl. I don't remember ever getting an 8-track of anything. I never did. I never had an 8-track of anything. They would have been out there on the shelves, but we never bought the 8-track versions. We always bought the vinyl versions. And then later on in the early 80s, cassettes came along. And the very first thing that I got on cassette that I normally would have bought on vinyl was the Return of the Jedi soundtrack. And the interesting thing about that was that the cassette actually came in a 12-inch vinyl package, which I don't know where that is anymore, but it actually did come in a 12-inch vinyl package, the cassette. So reading this book, I have a feeling it's going to be a lot like reading about my own childhood. It seems that we have a lot in common. I know we do. And I'm just looking forward to digging in. And should I review it? Well, you know it's going to be a glowing review because I'm glowing. Yeah, I think I should review this. So I think we are done here. Once again, I'll just go over what I got. The 2 copies, the hardcover and the softcover. Signed cover. Fridge magnet. And wherever I put, there's my bookmark. There we go. Yeah, so now I know what I'm reading tonight and for the rest of the week. I do not have any soundtracks on 8-track, says Rob, but we know they must exist. Thank you, Tim, for tuning in. Thanks, everybody else, for tuning in. I realize this is a weird time. Supper time, my mother told me. Gave me shit for going live at supper time. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks for supporting Tim, if you're one of the many who did. And we'll play a song to go out. What song should we play? Some Max the Axe. T-Bone requested this one last week, but we never got to it. So here's some Max the Axe, a track that has never been released on 8-track, a song called Gods on the Radio. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for doing this 30-year project of research for us to just enjoy very quickly and easily. I'm looking forward to it as I keep repeating myself. But, you know, it is kind of cool to see my name in print like that. So I'm a little, I'm pretty thrilled. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone else. This is Max the Axe, Gods on the Radio. Have a good night.
Fuck off!